to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, hey. I'm doing okay. We're still in lockdown.
We are still in lockdown. Do you feel like you're chained? You're chained down and you can't leave your home?
Yeah, and I feel like I'm kind of attached to my desk or, working a lot. So I think this week maybe we'll use that.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Like being locked down to a specific area or attached to something.
Yes,
chained.
We didn't pre-plan this at all, but as our lockdown limitation this week, in all of our games, there will be at least one character, whether it's the main character or something else, of being physically attached to something, chained down.
Mm-hmm. Even if it just ends up being a Kensington lock on every single laptop.
Yes, you can't steal this. You can't take this from the Apple Store.
Oh, that's a bicycle lock.
Down. So for those who might just be joining us, we are referring to our game Click Pitch, where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we will each get an adjective and a noun, and we will turn these into a game design. This week, constrained by the description we just gave of having something locked down in, I was going to say in celebration, in commiseration of our mutual situation being in COVID lockdown here in Melbourne.
So 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Ridiculous sector.
Unpredictable sector.
What? How did we both get the same noun? That's insane. Well, we just have two sectors.
So that means it's got to be in space. Because I'm picturing, sector such and such. Unpredictable and ridiculous. That sort of says to me that this is a roguelike.
Okay. In wacky,
in
perhaps?
An unpredictable, wacky sector sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where I think, in each area someone is captured. And your thing is to go in.
Oh, okay. So you're trying to rescue somebody who is...
It's a rescue sort of operation.
Yeah.
You've got to sort of get into this sector, go through the different alleyways, try to find out which building your person is captured in, and then get out. Sort of once you get them, then you've got an escort mission out to the, to the the escape zone.
I like the roguelike idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you then, if every mission is a rescue mission, are you some sort of extraction specialist, perhaps, of specifically rescuing, kidnappees or hostages or I don't know who else gets captured and locked down on things.
I'm presidents daughters, there's a whole heap of different type of hostages that you could actually...
Yeah, I'm just trying to think from the sort of overall world level. Is it a roguelike in the sense of you are doing this one mission as many times as you want with upgrades happening and stuff? Or is it that each one of these is a procedurally generated new mission?
Generated new mission.
Yeah.
You just happen to be so it comes up with new buildings and all this sort of stuff. I think that this is kind of like a top-down isometric sort of game, but it's got that twin-stick shooter sort of feel to it. So that you're sort of running around, but then you can enter into a building and then you're clearing out the building you see a different view within the building where they come to a
I like
colorway.
this. All right. I was going more of a stealth way, but you're thinking a bit more action based.
Yeah, you're going in, you're blowing shit away.
Guns blazing.
Blazing. You can also do some stealth like elements but the second that you get seen, you can choose to go guns out, or you can, choose to hide.
So maybe almost a bit of a Hotline Miami kind of feel, where you can come in, and if you're quick enough, you can like take out, if you've got your silenced weapon, you can take out the people in that room. It won't necessarily alert people in the other nearby rooms.
Yeah.
All right. So I like that. Working your way through floors. Maybe we'd make this like sort of real gadget based. And that can be part of the roguelike aspect.
Different loadouts that you sort of randomly get selected and that sort of stuff. You get
or like that you find
dropping
in
down.
And stuff. Yeah. So I'm thinking things like being able to, like I'm feeling like you're going, up through the floors to get to the level where whoever it is being kept.
Well, I'm thinking that it's a pretty big area. So just because you've gone into this one building and you kind of clear it out, you get to the end and then you can then get teleported out, and then it's like, okay, that building's cleared.
Okay, you're sort of doing. Okay, this is where sector comes in. You're essentially like attacking this whole sector, or like searching this whole sector to find them.
So you can
that'll work because then you'll have more opportunity to like clear out buildings to level yourself up essentially on that run to be more powerful when you actually find.
Yeah, you get to the top, you kill one of the, or you take hostage one of the commanders, and they give you a little bit more information, and they unlock. It's over in this area of the
it like
sector,
narrows
so you
it
can
down,
narrow
or
it
triangulates
down
or something. Yeah, or you get 1 point of the triangulation.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it being building based because I was thinking about your different modes of entry. Like I think when you start, you're just having to bust in the front door, make your way to the top, or make your way to the appropriate floor. I think as you go, you get, whether it's in that run or, I guess if you're going building by building in a particular run, it's like, oh, in this crate I found like the zip line. So now
I can go straight across.
I can go straight across and come from the top down, and like there might be benefits to that. You might get more element of surprise or different things. And I was also thinking certain gadgets where it's like, oh, instead of going up the stairs to the next level, I'm going to like go out the window and rappel up a level.
Because I've got the grappling
hooks and exactly, grappling hooks and stuff. And again, like that will just give you a certain bonus in the first room of the next level or something, because you're taken by surprise. You like automatically clear that room or something, whatever it is in that very roguelike.
Oh, I'm loving that. You can go up. Your 1 or 2 levels, however much your grappling hook can actually take you up, and then you get an automatic entry that does like a tactical strike, and just like bang, bang, bang. They kind of take out the 3 people in that room, and then you can sort of head out into the like cubicles.
Well, or it could even be like, because one of the greatest things about roguelikes is when you get synergistic abilities, right? So it could be, yes, coming in via the grappling hook does a surprise attack basically, which initially just means their reaction times will be slower, but maybe you've also picked up the thing where, any surprise attack you can, instantly kill surprised enemies or whatever, right? So those 2 abilities, the grappling hook and the insta kill on surprise, are going to just go together really well, because it's like, one room every floor, I basically just don't even have to fight it.
Or you can pick up a little bullet, and it's called bullet time, and you basically break through the window, and everything slows down, and you can immediately go bang, 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 and then land down. It's like shoo. And it's like that was your one time of using it, but it was like a perfect.
And if you get that ability,
style entry basically,
you gain a trench coat, which goes away after that entry, but it flutters down behind you in slow motion. Perfect. Like I like. There's a lot of opportunity there for those sorts of different abilities that can build on top of each other in different ways.
So, in case you, the listener, haven't noticed, the thing that's locked down is the person that you're going to get, or the laptop that you're looking for, or whatever it is that you're going for.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a person.
Yeah. Basically, you're trying to extract something, and then I'm thinking Left 4 Dead style, where you have your final. You've got the things now, and you've got the final wave enemy upon enemy. Like, it doesn't finish until you reach the end zone.
And again, though, depending on the power-ups or the abilities you've picked up through the run, it might be, the standard one might be, oh, well, you've got to get back down to the bottom to the extraction zone. But, oh, you've picked up, a beacon that lets you extract from the roof instead because your buddy comes on a helicopter. Or, you maybe got the zip line, or there are certain things that let you, like, you're still going to have to fight your way through, but maybe you don't have to fight through as much, or...
I do love the idea of a zipline being relatively, one-time use. So you may then want to think about, okay, when I leave, I can get up on the roof and then, set it up to go down to a lower level.
Yeah, well, you could do something. Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to trade that off, because it could be along the lines of, okay, you can use the zip line to get into one building at some point throughout your run. And maybe it's like, if you're coming from the top down, then you get a surprise around every time you go down a floor, because they're not expecting you to come from the top.
No. Although they may have heard when you set off all those grenades before.
Yeah, okay. So, well, again, maybe there are in each building there's like alarm levels and stuff, right? So you have different ways of playing, and then you can have power-ups that work more towards come in and blast everything versus more stealthy stuff.
Do we still like twin stick, or do we want with zip lines? I kind of think that it needs to be first person now, but
no, I think that's more just around the method of travel between buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the zipline, I think it's just like, oh, all right, you made your way to the top of that building, you interrogated the commander or whatever, you got your piece of information, and then it's, okay, how do I get to the next building? Usually, you can just leave and walk. Like, you're essentially just selecting from a map or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to go to this building next. But if you've got a zipline, you can go to an adjacent building if that's the next one you want to tackle, and you can come at it from the top.
Yeah. I do like the idea of being able to go down alleyways and that sort of stuff when you're out in the world. Like, it's kind of a desolate sort of...
Yeah, or maybe you've got a bit of an almost like an overworld sort of situation. Because I'm picturing a bit of
How many blocks for each sector? I mean, if we're literally building that you can enter in... I don't think maybe you can enter in every building. I think there's...
No, I think there's particular buildings that are like part of this crime syndicate that, has taken whatever it is, right? And then there may be, you'll have like your shops, and you can spend some of the currency that you found on that run before you take on the next building or whatever. And again, like, depending on how you tackle the buildings, maybe you're not safe on the streets. Maybe you have to quickly get between buildings, or you have to go through the alleys because now they're on the lookout for you in this sector.
Or they've got the sentinel droids, just basically going down the main street. So if you stick to the shadows and all that sort of stuff, you can get across quite nicely.
Yeah, and so again, you'll be able to have power-ups that you unlock by going through runs that you might find on a run that help in the overworld, that help you,
take out sentinels.
Or avoid sentinels, or, not set off alarms as easily so that they're not looking for you yet. You can get through more buildings before they are looking for you or whatever.
I like the idea that death is definitely an option in this, like, as in it's something that's going to happen a lot of the time. Most of your runs are just going to fail. And
I think you follow the fairly classic roguelike pattern.
I think we get a good random word generator that comes up with different code names for the people who can extract, because that adds to the unpredictableness of, like, and the wackiness. Like, I also want some of these sort of weapons to be a little bit wackier. Like, one of the grenades, you throw it out, and it encases all the guards in jelly, and basically they're stuck as jello blocks, and they can't move, sort of thing. It's just, or you throw out a different grenade, and it's like anti-grav, and they get launched up to the ceiling, and they get knocked out, and just a little bit of fun stuff like that. I think that could be...
Oh yeah, for sure. I can see that working really well.
Shrink rays. Enlargement ray.
An enlargement ray. It just cuts to the overworld, and you see this huge person like break out of the building you were going through.
And brings down the whole building, and
just brings down the whole building. I like the idea that if you die on a run, it's not that you're like redoing it with a new person. It's that, another person from the organization you're working from. That's what you're sort of saying with the code names or whatever. But like that you can maybe reattempt that run, except like for some sort of, it's a more prestigious run than if you manage to do it, because it's harder because they're already looking for people from your organization. But maybe you can like, if you find the body, you can get some extra.
Or basically you get all your loot from there.
Maybe. It might be a bit unbalanced if you manage to essentially get two per... I mean, I guess it depends. I guess it depends on how far through you died. You'd have more stuff, but then you have to fight more to get there. So you could potentially do that, yeah.
So to make each run sort of a little bit more balanced as such, essentially this is Terminator rules for when you teleport in, that you kind of... You teleport in naked, and then they drop down like a pod next to you, and you can basically... You got your basic clothes and basic, clothes, boots, not a motorcycle, but a shotgun. Like, so you get your basic loadout, and you may be able to get a little bit more. You may be able to get a little bit more stuff. But essentially you usually come in with a basic weapon, and that's pretty much it. Like anything that you actually need, you got to find down on the...
Oh yeah.
Down there, and if you happen to die near where you teleport in, and you don't prestigious run, you can find that body just outside the alleyway. You can pick all the stuff up, and you're set for the run already. Like,
yeah, but it's going to be a harder run because they detected you teleport, and they know they're going to be on more alert. It's no surprise rounds this run or something. You're going to have certain limitations. Yeah.
I think there's a limit to how many times you can re-teleport into an area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You couldn't do it. Or either that or you up the difficulty every time to the point that, you've tried this 4 times. It's going to be basically impossible. But if you can manage it, then all the power to you.
If you manage it, you win the game.
Kind of like Risk of Rain, how they, like, the longer you take in the different worlds, the harder it gets. So, yes, you can often, you can get more power-ups through that. You can last longer. You can take longer, but the difficulty also ramps up.
Yeah.
In that way.
This is really cool. I really like this idea. It's got guts.
It's got all those roguelike sort of factors that make those fun and enjoyable. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, enough sort of newish gameplay and the types of things you're doing and spending abilities on and stuff, I feel like is interesting.
Okay. The sectors. I like the idea that there's actually like an opaque laser wall that sort of keep you locked in because they've effectively the government have locked down this sector.
Yeah.
And you're being sent in to search and rescue or search and extract.
Yep.
And so that's why... we can limit it to, you can only go to these buildings within this area.
Oh, yeah.
It just so happens that, there is a city outside it, but it's a rather opaque laser wall. So when you're really up high, you can sort of see, the silhouette of buildings around. But, you're not actually seeing much more than just the silhouette.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can come up with some sort of backstory as well. Maybe all the sectors are locked off like this, like... There's some sort of governmental thing where they don't let you have to get permission to transport outside your sector because you're assigned to this one and that's where you have to stay your whole life, and or something, some sort of totalitarian dystopic kind of techno future, noirish. Although I guess if we're going ridiculous, they could play off each other. Okay,
yeah. I do want some more absolutely ridiculous stuff that occurs, like. When you go to get the president, his lines are always like, "Oh God, you took long enough, didn't you?"
He's just a real prick.
Yeah. What else do you think we need for this game? Can we inject Papers, Please in here somehow?
No, I don't think we can. I don't think we need anything else. I think we're good. And I think that was a fun 20 minutes on that one game. And let's click again.
Okay. Wow, we're off to a good start.
Yeah. What are we locked down to this time? Civil Pretty.
Prerequisite mirror. I'm torn in two ways with mirror. I'm torn. You had Pretty, which brings up in my mind "You're So Vain" by Carly Simon, which brings up you're always looking in the mirror, and that's what you sort of lock down to. You're locked down to the fact that, am I looking good? Too metaphorical, Trevor. We need to be physically attached to something. Okay, they're physically attached to a mirror by a chain, and they're dragging around like this big bedroom mirror. Like a full-length bedroom mirror. And then I started thinking, okay, mirror, vampire. Vampire can't see himself in the mirror, and therefore, like... You know, where I went when I heard Pretty and Mirror was a Snow White kind of situation. Ooh, okay. With like maybe a magic mirror or a... Because... And you play the evil queen, and you're locked down to this one room where you just look in the mirror to find where she is, so you can say to the huntsman where to go. Or maybe you've just... And the huntsman is a spider. You've made the huntsman... who is a human. No, it's a spider. Because it's a huntsman. I get it. I just feel like it's taking it to a point where we can't actually do anything with it. Maybe you've made the huntsman... Fuck, now I can't say it. The hunt person, be more gender neutral anyway. Maybe you've made the hunt person handcuff themselves to Snow White. Okay. While transporting her to, where she's going to be murdered. Okay, and is it a co-op game with the hunt person and Snow White? Where they're, or is it like the game Brother? You know how that was a twin stick game where you were controlling both characters, but they're actually attached to the wrist, so you can't go too far one way or the other, and you got to try and, finagle your way through different levels. Yeah, that's okay. But she wakes up and she goes, a spider! Oh no, it's just a hunts person. That's okay. I had to get it in there. For those of you who can't see the camera right now, Ben is currently rubbing his eyes going, what the fuck are you doing, Trevor? Stop derailing this game. I'm tired, Trevor. It's not helping. Spider! Oh my god! Where I was going with it was the Seven Dwarves, right? Is there now? It is this sort of almost platformer puzzle game where yes, you're attached to each other. You're each controlling one person, but then the dwarves you're like commanding in some way. Pikmin-esque. Yes, almost Pikmin-esque. Or maybe that's just Snow White's power, and then the huntsman. I mean, he's got like the huntsperson have like a bow and arrow, or like they can do attacks, and Snow White's power is sort of. Well, I kind of like the idea that the huntsperson can actually control the wildlife, and so you got the wildlife and interesting, and sort of like the dwarves, mortal enemies, Are they? I know dwarves and woodland creatures. The classic battle between the dwarves and the woodland creatures, and you, huntsperson and Snow White, have found yourselves in the middle of it. Oh my god! Can you work together? Can you work together? Yeah, I like the idea that can you work together, and that's also about can you make your left and right hand work together to actually manipulate your characters through this game. Well, so what's the relationship here? Because what could be an interesting dynamic, and I don't know how this would play out gameplay-wise actually, but at least at the beginning, if they're actually not cooperating as such, like the huntsperson's goal is to still take Snow White out into the woods and execute her. Yes. But Snow White's goal is obviously to get away. But also, they have to somewhat work together to get through these
places, these areas.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Arya and the Hound situation from Game of Thrones, where you've got the captor and the captive that are unwelcome bedfellows. Effectively, they're having to work together to defeat other adversaries. But anytime that Snow White tries to get away,
I think almost in the beginning you could have some interesting, probably somewhat scripted set pieces. I mean, I guess the whole game is probably relatively scripted. I'm picturing a bit of It Takes Two kind of vibe as well, where with that sort of co-op thing. But yes, that those, at least for the first little while, they do have these separate goals, and that's sort of what drags them through the levels. Is it's like, oh, in this part of the level, like Snow White's dwarves come out and they pick you up and carry you to this place, and like there's nothing really that the huntsperson can do about it. But then in the next bit, it's like, oh, but now the huntsperson gets their skill to like call a fucking deer who just can come and just sweep all the dwarves away or like push them back, and those sorts of, you have a couple of things like that where sort of push and pull between them, and then it's like, oh shit, there's a huge giant like mythical bear that is coming after us. Now we need to work together to just survive. And then you can have the sort of the banter back and forth between them happening, and they're eventually trusting each other, and then just like in the story, the hunt person at the end or near the end
turns on the evil queen, and
basically, and then they're working together from that point, right?
Yeah.
So like half the game is like going out into the forest, and then the other half is coming back.
I'm imagining the final level is literally the dwarves are now riding on their mortal enemies, the woodland creatures, into battle.
Exactly.
And you're sort of commanding, strike Team Delta, come around the back, and
yeah. You've got like flocks of birds coming down and attacking and dropping things, and the dwarves just riding deer and fucking bears, and
for some reason I had one of them riding a shark, and I'm like, where the fuck are we? This is a land shark.
It's the moat around the castle.
Or alligator, because that's scary. Alligators are fucking there. Well, crocodiles are probably even worse.
Who knows? Ask Steve Irwin.
You can't.
3 to 1. 3 to 1 click. Don't be a downer. 3 to 1 click. I know.
Breathed consolation.
Expecting naming. So that makes me think of someone pregnant.
And it just made me think of the baby is tied to the mother via an umbilical cord. This is set inside a womb. I'm thinking of a baby. What's the consolation prize? The placenta?
Okay.
That's something that they don't tell you about when you first, like it certainly surprised me when that part happened.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if we go serious about this and have a story where like they were expecting a boy and got a girl or something, like that's their consolation. That could be a bit too much. I'm also literally I said it as a joke, but I'm sitting here trying to figure out if there's a way we can have a game literally set inside a womb while the baby is growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure how that would work.
I kind of like the idea of going slightly smaller than just in the womb, that you're actually kind of constructing the building blocks of the baby, and you get to sort of choose which DNA parts to turn on, and this is effectively like Spore but within a womb. So effectively you're choosing between the dominant and recessive genes to.
And then where does that lead? Like, what do those decisions affect?
The baby's life when they're outside of the womb, obviously.
So is this some sort of like...
This is where the new Fallout game actually starts. It starts so much earlier. So character creation is like Todd Howard is like...
How else? Yeah, exactly.
It is
in previous games you started as a
creation.
child, or you've made the parents. It's like, no, in this one...
Todd Howard has
choose a sperm.
Todd Howard has decided that you get to choose between your original sperm, and you got to choose your parents first, and then the sperm came in. That's a random choice. You don't really get to choose whether you're a boy or girl, or whatever. Like the sperm that actually hit, but you get a little bit of extra character creation now because you get to choose between the dominant and the recessive genes. Thing is, you don't know what that turns on. So basically,
they're not named in you're not being shown them in a way of
this is what I will look like.
It's not just a glorified hair color selection thing. It's literally
turn on gene 33.
You want to turn on. This is going to affect something down the line, but you don't know what it is.
The fact that it's from Todd Howard, this makes sense.
Yeah, the boy's a bit of a freak. Okay.
We don't have to go there. That was my silly suggestion.
That's all right. I don't have anything else, so let's leave it on the silly suggestion and click again. Feel free to use that, Todd Howard. Funniest commentary.
Adjective damnation.
Your adjective was adjective? It's not even an adjective. Okay. Commentary on damnation. That could be interesting, like some sort of reality TV show in hell.
Yep. And, of course, because it's funniest commentary, it's like...
Oh, yeah, it's wacky and over the top, but dark and...
I'm picturing this could be like from a Crows or something like that, in which, depending on what you're actually doing, it's sort of like a Dante's Inferno / God of War beat 'em up, but you've got funny commentary actually going on about, the different things that are going on in the world. Like the narrator's basically talking through different things, and it's obviously coming from Justin Roiland is doing the commentary.
I could see that. I was picturing it literally as like a TV show, because I was going to say what's chained down is the audience is chained down.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the chained down thing.
They have to watch the show, which is horrible, but they're in hell, so that's their punishment. Because I kind of like the idea of whether it's maybe not a game show, maybe a sitcom. I don't know how you'd play that out. But I mean, that could almost be the punishment part of it is you're sitting there, you're trying to make the best sitcom episode in hell. But it's sort of more story based. So yes, you're going through essentially the same motions and changing stuff up slightly every time, and the audience is forced to laugh. They're whipped until they laugh.
Cry laughing.
But
literally cry laughing is it's all fake laughter and it's all just cries and wails of pain.
Yeah. But you're in hell. That's what you want to hear. But essentially in between takes and stuff, you've got conversation, and that's where the story actually sort of is. Mm-hmm. So it's somewhat of a story based thing, based around dialogue. Funny characters, you can still get Justin Roiland in there. That would make sense for that sort of thing. He plays the fucking demon director or something who's trying to make this thing. Mm-hmm. He's got delusions of grandeur on trying to make the new Seinfeld, but it's Hell or something.
Okay. I want you to world paint a little bit for me.
Sure.
Which religions were wrong and therefore all end up in hell?
All of them. Is that world painting because it's whoever's hell that was right. Whoever was right, that's their hell. I don't know enough about different religions to do it. I'm thinking we do this as a very classic hell, fire and brimstone.
So, in other words, they're joking about the smell of sulfur, and it's like, who farted? It's like, no, it's just hell. Like, just it's sulphurous.
Yeah, and that's the level of comedy that this demon director and writer is like trying to, or he has like a team of lost souls writing for him, and that's the shit they're coming up with, and he thinks it's gold, and the audience is just moaning and wailing, not actually because they're being whipped, but because the jokes are so not funny and so cringy.
So it's our perfect game because we just do we could
absolutely
write the entire thing.
Could write this because we can only write cringe funny. Yeah, but and like you get selections of like, you know, what punchline are you going to use or whatever, and they're all horrible. But it's just
the same punchline with a different emphasized word.
Yes. Because whoever we get to voice act will nail that. They'll have to do all the different takes. Have fun with it.
What do you mean? Go up at the start and up at the end? That's a smile.
These pretzels are making me thirsty. So almost, I mean, I guess almost a bit of a point and click kind of adventure kind of thing in a way. I don't know if we have inventory puzzle stuff or if it's just based around dialogue, but you know, in between the takes, you go and you talk to the different, like the actors and the director and stuff, and you to just get some more world building, to get some more things. Maybe you are gathering the notes or something that then let's do another take, and those notes come into play and it changes up slightly and the story continues in some way, you know?
Yep.
I don't know if I have an end point to the story.
I do. 3, 2, 1, click.
Click. Perfect. That's what's good about this show. Lighted attendant.
Restrictive palace.
Ooh, well, that gives us some...
Double restrictive.
Yeah. Okay. So I like palace. I'm feeling like this is some sort of royal figure who has been confined
to the dungeons.
To their palace. Yeah, maybe to the dungeons.
Because
I kind of wanted to take it away from
murdered.
the very... I wanted to take it away from the very, like, the traditional sort of fairy tale palace. I don't think this is like a fairy tale world.
No.
I think it could be even a modern palace or something in, I don't know, some sort of different...
It's Buckingham Palace, and the Queen has been, like, chained down to the dungeons for murder.
Damn it, Queen Elizabeth. It's come out that you're actually a serial killer. We found all the bodies. You couldn't get your corgis to eat all of them.
We found some corgis dead too.
They refused to cannibalize themselves. I do kind of like the idea of a royal figure confined to the dungeons.
Yes. Ooh, it's like a secret family member.
Secret family member, like a bastard child or something?
Well, effectively, you know, nowadays you could just say it's just Prince Andrew. Like, he literally got confined to the dungeons. But back in the day, like, there was the secret heir, basically. Mm-hmm. The real firstborn.
Right.
Like, murdered someone. Like, at a very, very young age. Their name is Damien.
Come on.
Okay, I won't do that. But I just like the idea of it. It's like basically a secret family member who's actually heir to the throne.
Yeah, that's cool. So maybe they're not in the dungeon. Maybe it's more of they've been kept protected and secret, you know, almost a Rapunzel-like fashion to their quarters.
It's one of the towers. Like,
yeah,
you see them looking out on a you know, cold English morning.
Yeah, we are leaning back towards, I think, the traditional, like, palace sort of feel, but
it's
that's fine. So we're still doing Buckingham Palace.
It doesn't matter whether it's Buckingham Palace. It's a palace. It's a modern sort of thing. So there's cars and stuff like that. It's just that the secret heir has been like
has been confined their whole life. And what happens then? What kicks their story into gear? How old are they first? Are they still relatively young at this point, or have they been up there for I 45
think,
years?
I think they are the heir to the throne, but their sibling. I'm thinking because this is something typical that they would have done of a female heir back in the day. That this character is female, and you play this woman. Yeah. And her brother, who is now being seen by the public as heir to the throne.
Yeah.
But wasn't actually the firstborn, was actually the secondborn, but they just hid.
Well, is the reason for this that there are particular tensions with other countries who, would plan to assassinate the heir, like are trying to create a power vacuum or trying to like disrupt the monarchy in some way? Are we putting this in a world where, there is...
This is a good reason why they've done it. I kind of don't think I don't think there is a good reason for locking someone away. Like,
no. But
I want to go that this character, all they're trying to do is be out and, away from this locked tower sort of thing.
Yeah. I get that. I'm just trying to figure out why the family has done this. Like, why is there a reason to protect the actual heir if they've got another, like...
Because they, maybe the father is sexist and didn't want a female heir to take the throne, but couldn't bring himself to murder his firstborn daughter.
But she still is... So are they planning to not give her the crown then?
Not give her the crown.
Right, okay. I thought this was more of a case of, like, if their enemies took out all their heirs, then they'd be able to, pull one out and still say, nope, we'd hit her this whole time.
King Ralph situation. That's what they call it in the...
Right, is that what it is? All the that was the next to the throne, but everyone else died?
Yeah, because they all died from electrocution when they got a photo taken. And... Right. I don't know how I remember this, but yes, King Ralph. So, no, I don't think this character is... Maybe that's how it ends up being, that, she kind of King Ralphs herself into the throne and ends up having to take it. I
guarantee that it's never been used as a verb before. I do like the idea that you're essentially trying to
murder the royal family.
Maybe they have kept you locked up for decades. Like, you might have a bit of a grudge.
Okay. It's 3 days before the coronation day.
Okay. So your slimy brother.
Your mother died many years ago. Your father has just passed away in the last week.
Yep.
And your brother has never known that you actually existed, basically.
Right.
This was your father's secret.
Yep.
Father and mother's secret, like.
Yeah. Is there like some loyal servant or something who comes and frees you? And they couldn't keep, they were too guilty. They couldn't let this secret disappear and let you just rot in here while your brother takes the crown. But all they can do is like slip you a key or something.
Yeah, I'm imagining in the intro sequence you sort of get shown that your father, the king, locks you up here very early on, and maybe your mother didn't even know. Like, he basically said that.
Oh, that you
died
in childbirth or something.
In childbirth, and
died young, maybe.
And she was rather distraught and all this sort of stuff, and then never really knew, but it was just your evil father's. He couldn't bring himself to.
It's very fairy tale, definitely.
Yes, very fairy tale, but modern sort of setting in the fact that it's modern technology. I love the idea that she sort of gets down there, and so she knows the idea of TV and all that sort of stuff because she had a TV up there, but
yeah. I don't think
she's never had a cell phone before, so the fact that she actually gets hold of a cell phone and she's like, oh, I wonder if I can call out, and she tries calling 911, but it doesn't work because she doesn't know that the local
she's only ever watched like US cop shows,
so 999 only works here. But of course, if she wants to get an ambulance, it's IT crowd rules, so you need that rather
the long number. What is it?
01189 8199 91197253.
Trevor, the things that stick in your head. So is essentially the goal of this to like get a DNA test to prove you're the heir? Like at what point? Yeah, like where does it go from there? Is this a sort of naive young woman in the big city kind of situation, making friends, meeting people who help her out?
Yeah, I kind of think that it then turns into like a modern day retelling of Prince and the Pauper sort of thing, except it's she sort of makes her way outside. All she wants to do now is live. She doesn't care too much about the throne anymore. But I think when people find out,
until she like sees on the news her brother's plans for the kingdom.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I can't let him do this. I have to reclaim my rightful position as monarch.
And that's when she joins the Assassin's Creed. And that's when you realise that this is an Assassin's Creed game the entire time.
Assassin's Creed. I kind of like that, actually. That's kind of good. All right. 31 click. That's all we need to know. Take out the brother. Correlate seal.
Obscene pumping.
Okay. We're going to split your words up because together they're just not appropriate.
That oil pumping that's going out there is really obscene. Yes, we really want to separate that and not have like a Greenpeace style game. Let's think. Obscene.
Where I went to was seal as in the animal.
Yes. And obscene gestures that the seal is making to its mate as it...
I don't know where obscene is coming into it. I'm choosing to ignore that for the most part. But I was going on a limitation of being chained to something. Like this is a situation where a seal is in captivity. Right. Maybe it's a Free Willy sort of situation.
See, now I'm picturing this seal is like working for like a Greenpeace like organization and like chains itself to different oil pumps out there, and you know they have like
all right, look, you seem to want to deal with the obscene pumping of oil, which I agree with the climate emergency. We need to seal up all of the oil platforms.
I just saw this stupid thing of like, you know, people who chain themselves to trees and all that sort of stuff to get in the way of bulldozers. It's like they're chained to the bottom of like these huge mining platforms, but the waves are like hitting them in the face and stuff. And
they haven't quite understood. And they've just completely misunderstood the idea of chaining yourself to something to stop it being destroyed, because it's like nobody wants to destroy it. You want to destroy it, but you're chaining yourself to it. It's completely
and the fact that they're on one of the legs, and they're like, all the stuff's happening up on the mining platform, so they don't even know that you're chained to it.
Yeah, they don't even know you're there. Okay, all right. That's a really funny scene. That's the opening scene to our game.
Now, is it a seal?
I don't think it's a seal, but I think it's a person, but they meet a seal.
Ooh. And the seal says, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, basically. I think we go anthropomorphic seal.
Yeah.
And then the main game it's actually a very Scooby-Doo style relationship between the misguided hippie and his seal friend.
Yes.
Whether or not they solve mysteries, I'm not sure, but
I do like the idea of solving mysteries, but I also like the idea of this oil mining rig or whatever is actually the location of like another Metal Gear. So this is again like layers upon layers of other games. In the fact that this is actually, this houses like a nuclear armed, massive battle mech sort of thing.
So
so you were actually right to chain yourself to this sort of thing.
Yeah, is this in a very Roger Wilco sort of way the bumbling hippie who
happens
disarms
upon
a nuclear disarms this nuclear armament essentially that some government or his government or whatever is building here.
Yeah.
Through his misguided attempts at taking out what he thought was an oil platform.
But it turns out that it's actually, the knee of this massive frickin'
yeah. It definitely looks like an oil platform out there in the sea.
And it's drilling oil, but what it's drilling the oil for is because it's the lubrication for this
for the big mechanism
that is going to take over the world.
Yeah. Okay. Is this
all in his head and it's actually a dream and he ends up like waking up and goes, oh shit, and then the tide goes up way high and he dies? No, I don't think we do that.
Yeah, why would I even suggest that? I don't even know why I was thinking that. No, I was gonna talk about what sort of game this is.
Point and click.
Yeah, I was thinking, is this like a point and click adventure?
Yeah, well, it's like
I invoked Roger Wilco.
Sam and Max like adventure, where you play the bumbling sort of guy and you've got the seal along as your like Max like character, and except it's a flipped thing of you can do all the stupid things and all you can do are stupid things, and the seal tries to help you do the right thing.
Yeah, the seal is definitely the sensible one in this.
And if you want to do the sensible thing, it's kind of like if you want to do the wacky thing in the original LucasArts Sam Max, where you use Max on something, you use the seal on something, and he does the thing that you were expecting to be doing.
Yeah. Except because all the problems are solved with point and click adventure game logic, the seal is useless most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Who's the villain?
Dentists.
Why did I ask?
I was gonna say, maybe a Bond villain along the lines of, a Dr. No or something like that. And then I was just going to put DDS at the end.
I think that is exactly what it is. I'm just trying to figure out why. Because this time do they want to create a nuclear armament platform? Because
I mean, you can see why they use like mining platforms, because mining platforms are like the teeth of the sea.
Right.
They're just sort of sticking out there, and you're never quite sure how they actually stick in the gums, but you just know that they're stuck there real good.
They're stuck there somehow, and only the dentist knows how to
extract them.
I
mean, they're extracting oil, so I mean, dentists have got to be around somewhere. They're drilling, dentist drill. Like, I'm making all
makes perfect sense.
I'm making all the connections here. Like,
sure. All right, we don't even explain it then.
You don't need to. You just say, I mean, the hippie goes, of course. The amount of drilling, how could it not be a dentist? And that's where he leaves it.
Yeah.
I got there.
You did. No. Well done. You justified that dentist villain yet again. Cool. Okay. And so how does our bumbling hero end up defeating this then? Like what?
Like all dentists, sugar.
Sugar in the gas tank.
Just sugar.
Of the Metal Gear.
Sugar is dentists' only weakness. We all know this.
Yes,
and it's video game logic, of course, and it's point and click logic, of course. Sugar on dentist equals
that's it. You just
a
have
massive
to get close
cavity
enough.
in the middle of the dentist. Like
you just have to get close enough to use sugar on dentist. The whole game is leading up to that,
and then it does the whole Larry 2 thing of the whole thing's just on like, we didn't quite get to finish the end section, so you just do the Larry 2 thing of do a like cutscene to finish off. There was no real puzzle that you had to do. It was just use sugar on dentist, and the whole last 30 minutes plays out. It's a Metal Gear game. Of course, it's going to end like that as well.
Yeah, well,
it's going to be wacky.
Half hour is not long enough for a cutscene for a Metal Gear game.
Oh God! I remember thinking, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to play a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes later, it was like, oh, the game's starting.
Even started the game. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. All right, let's do one more. Glad Lung.
Competitive convict.
Ooh. Well, convict. They've got a ball and chain. It's just the classic ball and chain on the convict.
I mean, convict is a very old word. We're talking,
as a noun, yeah, definitely.
I really don't want to say it, but it's of the age of settling Australia, which is a bad place to sort of go.
And they all came down with glad lung, the horrible, debilitating.
Let's go. Oh no, that's even worse. I was like, let's go to the first penal colony, which was America, and it's like,
yeah, let's not delve into their history.
And then I'm like, that's even worse. Okay, so it's on the boat.
No, let's take it away from Earth history entirely, and let's make up something new. So we're not stepping on inappropriate subjects as much.
Okay.
So it's a convict ship in space.
Yes.
It's some sort of penal ship.
Yes. Sent from Earth to Mars.
Okay.
Because it's the first thing that the English do every single time that they find a new place, they colonize, they send all their prisoners across.
All right.
Well, now all of Earth have got together and have decided, you know what, we're going to send them to Mars.
Are we making a commentary on colonization and it turns out there are native Martians, or is the world dead and we don't tackle that particular...
Well, Mars has no oxygen, Mars has no water, Mars has, like...
That we know of.
Basically, what happened was... back in the late 2020s, we sent our first mission to Mars. This was 30 years ago from when this ship is going.
Yep.
32 days after they set up base, we lost contact. And there's been no contact at all with Mars since. We've sent probes, but it gets to a certain distance and then all communication cuts out. With the probe.
Okay, so are we sending in the convicts?
We're sending in the convicts because, sort of like Con Air / Suicide Squad. We can send these people there and...
Because they're worthless to us as a society.
Yes.
This is not my actual view.
No.
I'm speaking facetiously. Okay.
These are death row people. These are bad people.
Well, I mean, again, I think if you like Con Air and a lot of these things, you mix it up, right? Like there are some good people on, like people who were misjudged or who got into a bad situation. There are people who are actually evil.
Okay,
on there.
the character that you play is like the Nicolas Cage character of you're just getting a trip to there because your parents were part of the original.
or something, or like it's maybe we don't go full death row people. It's like it is a mix, but you have some redeeming qualities. Is the point we're trying to get to. I do like this idea then of. I'm almost wondering, is this a situation where like Mars, whatever happened on Mars with that first colony ship or the first mission. Not only did all communications cut off, but we can no longer see Mars. Mars disappeared.
Yeah.
But
we know it's there because...
We know it's there because...
Gravity.
We can still measure the gravity. We know it's there. This is some sort of communication, like a visual phenomenon only.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we're essentially...
When you get there, is all of Mars terraformed?
Yeah, maybe. I'm thinking there's something like that going on. Where, yes, it starts off, you're in this prison ship, you've got all these people there. This is sort of a last resort from Earth of they're overpopulated, they need to get rid of some people. Whatever, we just fucking send them on a ship to figure out what's in there, and at least then nobody else is...
You got 5 days before the auto return goes back.
Okay.
So they basically they have something on the ship that auto records all communications that you're doing, and after 5 days it will automatically send back so that
instead of them just having sent prisoners there for no reason, is this a situation like you said, like Suicide Squad, they have a mission?
Oh yeah,
right.
They've
got this mission of figuring out.
That's what I was trying to get at. This
right.
is like they're being sent there to find out what happened, and they decided to send.
Well, I think it's that nobody. It's so dangerous. It's so like nobody else is willing to go, but they've offered these prisoners this. Like, if you do this for us, we will pardon you. Like, you will get a pardon when you get back to Earth.
Yeah.
And so these are the 10 people who decided yes they were going to do
and you play one of them, and that character happens to be played by Nick Cage, and he may look exactly like he did in Con Air with long hair and all that sort of stuff and have the bunny, but he makes no mention of
when you get off the ship for the first time onto this terraformed Mars and the wind blows through his hair in that same shot.
And then he looks over and he thinks he sees John Malkovich, but he doesn't.
No, it's just a rock that looks very much like John Malkovich. And there was a Mars bunny behind it that sounded like John Malkovich, strangely, but it just hops away.
Yeah. Okay.
So what actually happened here? You get hit here, the world is terraformed. Do you find your parents? Like, do you find this... I mean, assume eventually you find traces of them, or you find where they landed or whatever.
I kind of like the idea that where you land, and you land very much in the original site, and it's kind of like you can tell that things haven't been done in years, but you look up in the sky and the sky is blue, and there's obviously the red dust everywhere, and it's got very much a an Australian outback feel of that sort of red dirt and all that sort of stuff. But in the distance, you see a glint. Like, you just see
like
light reflecting off something.
Yeah.
So the idea is that, you get a group of the guys to get over to follow you to go off to this thing.
Yeah.
And there's actually a full-on outpost that's been set up there that is almost city-like. It's kind of like, I'm almost thinking that the original group are still here, and they're actually fine. They've sort of come up with their own civilization. And
is there a situation almost then? Is there a time dilation thing that's happening here too? And maybe that's part of the reason why
it's not visible.
It's no longer visible. Is that light is moving at different speeds in here, like, and messing everything up.
Oh, I like that a lot. And you see someone who you think is your parents, but really they're a descendant.
One of their yeah, exactly. It's one of their descendants. Yeah, so it's been like,
so you're their great uncle or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. And then you're in a rush to get back because...
Yeah. Well, yeah. How that's going to work on the... Maybe it's a situation where it takes a while for newcomers to... No, that doesn't work because then you wouldn't be able to communicate with the other people.
Or you have a look at the computer and you actually see that, for every second or every hour that you're going through, it's like only 10 seconds of the computer clock. That, so it's...
Oh, right.
The time dilation.
Okay, because if time's moving faster there, yeah, then you're going to have more time to do stuff.
You got a lot more time than what you originally thought.
Right, so that's not really a factor. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of it the other way. And it's like, oh, now you've only got 3 hours instead of 5 days.
No. You rush back because you're like, oh my God, a lot of time has actually occurred here.
Yeah.
And that's why terraforming actually worked and all this sort of stuff. Because
that's what I was thinking with the terraforming. That it's actually had all that time to take place.
And it's actually kind of a nice story about different things going on, but, you then have to choose in 30 years or however long we do.
Well, yeah, that's the end. That's almost the end thing is, do you stay or do you leave?
Do you stay with your new family that you've actually built up here and all this sort of stuff, or do you bring them back and take them back to Earth?
I think in between, like the things and I do like telling this story across a large period of time like that, but I wonder if it's a situation like you get there and it's essentially a utopia. Like they've set up this amazing city. It was created by, these first set of scientists, including your parents, who set up a proper political system. And like they had the intelligence and the education to like set it up in a good way. But you've just brought in a ship full of convicts, some of which who are pretty
nasty
awful.
People.
And they start fucking things up. And they start introducing things into the civilization
that wasn't here before.
And so I wonder if after those 30 years, it's not so
idyllic anymore.
It's not so idyllic anymore. So maybe you do want to take your family and leave, right? Like,
and that's when I kind of like the idea of playing around with. You've just lived, 30 years or however long in 5 days.
Yeah.
That's, when you come back, they're going to have so much information as to what's happened over all this time. Mm-hmm. But over that 30 years, some things have started breaking down on the ship. So therefore...
Right. Yeah.
Like the power cell wasn't meant to be running for 30 years.
Yep.
But it was on a strict countdown clock that... would only go when the ship's computer actually said that it could go and all this sort of stuff. And
yeah, there's some sort of synchronized thing with the outside. I don't know. They came up with you could technobabble away that like the return signal
was based off of the atomic clock and the way that because the atoms were from outside of the
or that there's like
time
one specific signal that they know they can get through this barrier because they've done some experimentation that will trigger it or whatever. So they can trigger it from the outside, even though information can't come out or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I really like this idea. I want to see, I want to sort of go and explore this place, Mass Effect style. Like I can.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a great opportunity for like some really creative environment. It's environment art and what the cities would look like
and I'm just imagining that those 30 odd colonists that brought it out. What you pretty much need that same idea of how they say that if you've got X number of people you can make a society that's diverse enough that.
Oh yeah. Well, I think with 30 you definitely get there.
I know that there's a certain number that you need to be able to build it out to be the proper number. I like the idea that we actually try to keep that scientifically accurate. That they could have possibly built up to, this number of people in the 500 years it's actually been since.
I like that. That's a fun arc across those 30 years. That's really cool. Okay. I think we'll end it there tonight. Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online and all of our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm and check them all out there. Shoot us a review. Let us know what you thought. We would love that.
We'd love to thank Kuridos for allowing us to use their song, Mount Defiance of the album Containment Failure, each and every week for our opener and closer.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And oh my god, it's a spider! Oh, no, you're just a hunts person.